My 8-year-old daughter Lily was supposed to scatter white roses before I married Evelyn Carlisle. Instead, a security rope held Lily and me outside Carlisle House while our wedding music played inside. She clutched her flower basket. A black line crossed out her name on the ceremony card. "Mr. Reed, I'm sorry." Marcus Bell, Carlisle House security supervisor, said Victoria Carlisle, Evelyn's mother, foundation chair and event authority, had barred Lily from the ceremony. Marcus handed me the card. Beneath the ink "Flower Girl," Lily Reed remained readable. "Tell the officiant the wedding is stopped," I said. Through the open doors, Evelyn saw Lily at the rope and the empty aisle between us. She gathered her ivory gown, left the altar, walked the full aisle, and came down the steps while 200 guests watched. Before her mother could stop her, Evelyn crossed the rope and took Lily's hand. The quartet lost its final measure. Cameras near the gate began clicking. Evelyn never looked toward them. I knew Marcus from months of wedding meetings. He was careful, decent, and visibly sick about carrying out the order. But his authority ended at the access list Victoria controlled. Victoria had smiled at Lily during rehearsal and said the aisle needed someone brave enough to walk it first. Now Lily stood on the wrong side of a rope Victoria had ordered. I kept the altered card instead of tearing it. Restoration work had taught me that damage mattered most when you preserved evidence of how it happened. Evelyn lowered herself beside Lily despite the wedding dress and inspected the crossed-out name. One strand had come loose from her deep chestnut hair. When she looked at me, anger and dread arrived together. Victoria followed as far as the doorway. "Evelyn, come back inside. This can be explained privately." Evelyn rose beside Lily, still holding her hand. The answer I needed from her could not wait for privacy. "RN." "Did you know?" I asked. "No." Her answer was immediate, but pain followed it. "I knew Mother wanted to discuss the custody notice after the wedding. I did not know she had removed Lily." The phrase "custody notice" landed between us like a second barrier. 3 days earlier, a courier had placed that notice in my workshop. Lily's maternal grandparents, Martin and Claire Shaw, wanted a formal contact order. I had hidden it in my desk because I told myself 7 days was enough time to protect one happy morning. Evelyn's shocked glance showed that my silence had now arrived at the ceremony before I did. Lily held her basket out to Evelyn. "Your mother said I was brave enough." Evelyn's eyes closed for half a second. Then she took Lily's free hand. "You are," she was not. Victoria reached the bottom step. She wore composure like armor, but her fingers gripped the ceremony program too tightly. The Shaws' petition names the Carlisle family's public profile as a concern. Foundation counsel advised that presenting Evelyn as Lily's mother today could be used against Nathan next week. "Foundation counsel does not decide who attends my wedding," Evelyn said. "The ceremony is being photographed for the family initiative launch. Donors are already inside. I removed one role for 90 minutes to protect Nathan's custody position and your chair vote." I looked through the doorway at the flowers, the waiting guests, and the officiant holding vows Evelyn and I had written together. Victoria had reduced Lily to a risk that could wait in a car, while the adults created a cleaner photograph. "You didn't remove a role," I said. "You removed my daughter." Victoria's expression tightened. "And I prevented an image that opposing counsel could characterize as a wealthy family replacing her deceased mother." Lily's hand went rigid inside mine. Her mother, Anna, had died 5 years earlier. Lily remembered the tune Anna hummed while brushing her hair and almost nothing else. She should not have heard her grief argued on a staircase for people holding cameras. I stepped between Lily and the gate. "Marcus, clear us a path to the side drive." Evelyn rose. "Us means me too. Your board is inside. My family is outside." She said it without looking at the cameras, which made it matter more. Then she turned to Victoria. "Release the guests. Pay the hourly staff for the full booking. No statement goes out in my name. Walking away confirms every concern in that petition. Then we will answer the concern honestly." Evelyn looked at me. "All of it." That last phrase exposed the distance between us. She had kept her mother's warning from me. I had kept the actual notice from her. Victoria had exploited both silences, but she had not created them. Lily tugged Evelyn's hand. Are you still wearing that all the way home? Evelyn glanced down at yards of ivory satin. Apparently, it won't fit in Dad's truck. That may be the first practical thing anyone has said today. Lily almost smiled. The small change in her face hurt more than the crowd's whispers. Marcus opened the rope and walked ahead, not as an enforcer now, but as the man responsible for keeping the press back. Evelyn carried Lily's basket so Lily could hold both our hands. We moved down the side path together while the wedding bells began ringing on an automatic timer no one had canceled. At the truck, Evelyn stopped before climbing in. When were you going to tell me about the petition? Tonight, after I became your wife. I could have explained that I wanted Lily to have one day untouched by hearings, schedules, and adults measuring her future. It would have been true. It would also have disguised the fact that I had decided Evelyn could be trusted with my daughter, but not with danger. Yes, I said. Evelyn placed the basket carefully on the back seat. Then, leaving that altar was the easy decision. What comes next is whether we ever reach one without somebody hiding the road. She climbed beside Lily. I started the truck while Carlisle House emptied behind us, and the first online headline reduced the three of us to a runaway bride, an abandoned groom, and a child no reporter could name. At the side gate, the florist caught up long enough to give Lily the small bundle of roses she had been meant to scatter. Lily accepted them, then divided the stems between Marcus and two kitchen workers waiting for instructions. They already did their jobs, she said. Evelyn watched her rescue something kind from a ceremony adults had broken, and the shame on her face was quieter than any apology she could have offered there. Before entering the truck, I called the officiant myself. I did not blame Evelyn, announce Victoria's decision, or promise another date. I said the marriage would not proceed while one member of the intended family was excluded, and while the two adults had concealed facts from each other. Naming my own failure in front of no cameras was the first honest choice I made that morning. The ceremony was over. The question of whether we were still becoming a family had finally begun. Beside me, my unworn wedding ring remained in its box. For the first time, postponing it felt less frightening than pretending we had earned it. The ring box stayed closed. The altar could wait. Lily's understanding of why we had left could not, and neither could the truth Evelyn and I now owed each other. Evelyn's wedding dress occupied most of my narrow kitchen. The train curved around a chair, brushed the refrigerator, and forced her to turn sideways whenever Lily crossed the room. Under any other circumstances, the sight would have been funny. That morning, it made our small townhouse feel like a waiting room between two lives. Lily changed into purple leggings and one of my old workshop shirts. She left the flower basket on the table with the crossed-out ceremony card tucked inside it. She did not want cocoa. Lily refusing chocolate was the closest thing our home had to an emergency alarm. "Can I watch a movie upstairs?" she asked. "Yes, no news." "I know, the news thinks Evelyn ran away from you." Lily glanced at her. "That's backwards." "Most public mistakes are," Evelyn said. "I'll come up when I've changed." Lily nodded, then paused at the stairs. "Did Grandma Shaw tell them not to let me in?" "No," I said. "Evelyn's mother made that choice. Because Grandma Shaw is mad. Because several adults were afraid and handled it badly." Lily considered that answer. "That sounds like what teachers say before naming nobody." She went upstairs before either of us could improve on it. Evelyn removed her earrings and set them beside the untouched wedding cake samples still in my refrigerator. "Show me the notice." I retrieved it from the locked drawer in my workshop. Martin and Claire Shaw were Anna's parents and Lily's maternal grandparents. They had cared for Lily during the first shattered months after Anna's accident. They loved her. They also believed every change in my life was something being taken from them. Their petition did not demand custody. It requested fixed weekends, school access, emergency authority, and restrictions on taking Lily abroad. The most aggressive paragraph questioned whether my marriage into the Carlisle family would expose Lily to publicity and maternal substitution. Attached emails showed Victoria's office had invited reporters to cover the wedding as part of Evelyn's family initiative launch. Evelyn read each page twice. "My mother knew about this before you did." Her counsel received a courtesy copy. She told me there was a concern about Lily appearing in the campaign photographs. She said she would resolve it with you. She never called, and you never called me. Evelyn laid the notice flat. She did not raise her voice. You let me stand at an altar while two families negotiated around a child I promised to protect. I wanted to understand what the Shaws were asking before I frightened Lily, or turned our wedding into a strategy meeting. So you chose for me. I chose one quiet day for her. Evelyn pointed toward the flower basket. How quiet was it? The doorbell rang before I answered. Martin and Claire stood on the porch, still dressed for a wedding they had not attended. Martin had spent 30 years teaching mathematics at a public school. Claire managed a neighborhood pharmacy. Neither had Carlisle money or influence. Their leverage came from having known Lily before Evelyn did, and from being willing to formalize that history in court. Claire's eyes moved from my suit to Evelyn's dress. We saw the video. Lily is upstairs, I said. She was barred from the ceremony because Victoria used your petition as justification. Claire went pale. Martin removed his glasses. We asked the court to protect our contact. We did not ask anyone to humiliate her. Evelyn opened the door wider. Then come in and tell us what you did ask for. They sat at my kitchen table with the wedding dress pooled opposite them. Martin explained that my restoration contracts had taken me out of town 11 times the previous year. I had arranged care with my sister, Lily's schoolmate's mother, and occasionally the Shaws. What I had treated as a flexible network, they experienced as proof that Lily needed a formal second home. Claire's fear was harder. Anna is becoming 3 photographs and a song Lily barely remembers. Then a foundation announcement called Evelyn her future mother. Nobody asked whether Lily wanted her mother replaced in public. I didn't approve that wording, Evelyn said. Your surname was on it. Evelyn accepted the blow. That makes it my responsibility even if it wasn't my sentence. Martin looked at me. We sent you 3 proposals before filing. 2 demanded every other weekend regardless of Lily's plans. 1 gave you authority to stop my work travel, because you cancel on short notice. I canceled twice in 18 months. The argument already knew its root. Evelyn interrupted it by asking a better question. What does Lily think the problem is? Silence followed. We had all described what Lily needed. None of us had asked what she believed was under threat. Footsteps sounded on the stairs. Lily had not watched the movie. She sat on the 3rd step, arms folded inside my oversized shirt. I think everybody thinks if I love Evelyn, Mom gets smaller, she said. And if I love Grandma and Grandpa, Dad can't go anywhere. Claire covered her mouth. Martin stared at the tabletop. I stood, but Lily raised one hand. I'm not finished. She came down and placed the flower basket in the center of the table. I wanted to be in the wedding. I also want Grandma to tell me the story about Mom putting salt in the sugar bowl. I don't want court on my Saturdays. And I don't want people calling Evelyn my new mom because she already has a name. Evelyn's composure finally cracked. She looked down, pressed her fingers against her eyes, then met Lily's gaze. Thank you for telling us. Lily touched the crossed-out card. Do adults keep secrets because kids are small or because the secrets are? No one answered. The question did more than the petition had managed. It made each of us see that the danger was not only who received legal authority. It was how easily love became an excuse to remove the person everyone claimed to protect. Evelyn's phone lit with Victoria's name. A message preview appeared. Approved statement due BY4. Evelyn turned the screen so we could all read it. No more private versions, she said. Not from her. Not from us. The approved statement claimed Nathan Reed had postponed the ceremony because of an unexpected private family dispute. It praised the Carlisle Foundation for respecting children's privacy and said nothing about the order that had put Lily outside. Worse, a final sentence announced that Evelyn would still appear before the board in 5 days as the public face of its family continuity initiative. They want the child they excluded to become proof that they protect children, I said. Evelyn deleted the attached signature page. They want my silence to become proof. Martin studied her. Refusing that statement could cost you the chair. Signing it would cost me the right to ask Lily to trust me. Claire reached for the basket, then stopped before touching it. That small restraint was the first useful thing any of us offered Lily that day. Not love declared, but permission requested. I told the Shaws we would meet again the next morning with calendars instead of accusations. They agreed to leave without waking the argument again. When the door closed, Evelyn looked at my workshop keys and asked how many overnight jobs I had already accepted for the next 3 months. I knew then that telling the truth once would not save us. We were about to inventory every quiet decision that had made Victoria's loud one possible. By noon the next day, the wedding had acquired 6 invented explanations. One site claimed Evelyn had discovered an affair. Another called Lily an uninvited relative. A third slowed the staircase video until Evelyn's expression looked furious at me instead of at the person who had barred my daughter. The truth was less sensational and more dangerous. The people who loved Lily disagreed about who was allowed to make decisions for her, and all of us had recently proved we could make the wrong ones alone. Evelyn arrived at my workshop in black trousers, her aubergine jacket, and the pearl blouse Lily said made her look like someone who could fire a building. Carlisle Grand employed her as Regional Hotel Operations Director. The role predated her foundation chair candidacy and depended on measurable work, not Victoria's approval. That distinction mattered now. I released the florist, quartet, kitchen crew, and rental company, she said. Hourly staff receive the full scheduled pay. The venue cancellation saves enough to cover the remaining vendor obligations if we sign by tomorrow afternoon. From the joint wedding account, from the account according to the budget we both approved, I have not moved it. She handed me the cancellation form. Your signature is beside mine this time. I signed after reading every line. It should not have felt intimate. It did. My restoration studio occupied a converted trolley depot with high windows and unreliable heat. I repaired carved doors, stair rails, church pews, and furniture whose owners wanted age preserved without damage showing. The work required travel because the valuable pieces were rarely willing to visit me. Evelyn looked at the scheduling board. 4 overnight jobs filled the next 10 weeks. Who stays with Lily? My sister takes 2. Claire and Martin offered the others. Offered or were told. I heard the accusation because I had earned it. Asked, they agreed. And after we married, you have 3 hotels opening this quarter. That is not an answer. I set down my chisel. I was not going to treat you as unpaid childcare because you married me. So instead, you planned a family schedule without giving me a place in it. The workshop door opened before I could answer. Martin entered with a folder. Claire followed carrying Lily's school calendar. We had agreed to build a temporary contact plan before the private conference. Evelyn remained because Lily had asked that nobody discuss her future in rooms Evelyn was expected to leave. Martin proposed alternate weekends and Wednesday dinners. I countered with 1 weekend monthly, 2 dinners, and first call on overnight work. Claire asked for access to school notices. Evelyn suggested the same shared calendar her hotels used for rotating managers, stripped of corporate language and limited to people Lily approved. The calendar exposed details that arguments had hidden. Evelyn already collected Lily from art club most Thursdays because my late workshop appointments ran over. She knew the allergy tablets kept in Lily's backpack and the name of the librarian who let her stay after closing. Yet the school form still listed Evelyn only as family friend because I had postponed updating them until after the wedding. Evelyn had performed responsibility without receiving the information required to carry it safely. Martin saw the same imbalance from the opposite side. The Shaws had emergency authority from the years after Anna died, but I had not updated their copy of Lily's asthma plan after her medication changed. Claire's pharmacy knowledge could not compensate for information I assumed she would somehow receive. Our informal system worked mostly because 4 adults quietly corrected one another's omissions. Formalizing it was not surrender. It was admitting luck had been doing too much work. Evelyn proposed a 30-day trial before the conference review date, one shared schedule named backups, No travel accepted before care was confirmed, and no publicity involving Lily without a separate conversation. Martin objected to Evelyn writing the rules. Evelyn slid the blank template across the table. Then we write them together. For the first time, he picked up a pen instead of a petition. For 40 minutes, we behaved like adults. Then Martin produced a draft settlement his lawyer had received from mine. It offered fixed grandparent contact in return for withdrawing the travel restrictions. One paragraph stated that no future spouse of mine would acquire school, medical, or emergency authority without written agreement from all parties. Evelyn read it twice. When did you authorize this? Yesterday morning, after I left an altar because your daughter was removed from our wedding. It prevents the Shaws from challenging my travel by promising I remain legally irrelevant to Lily. Martin began. Our concern is not Evelyn personally. Then her name does not belong in the restriction, Claire said. She looked as startled by her own interruption as Martin did. We asked not to be erased. We cannot ask for that by erasing someone else. I had drafted the clause to make the case smaller. In my mind, Evelyn's relationship with Lily did not need permission from a court, but the paper translated my protection into the same sentence Victoria had written across the ceremony card. Not now, not officially. Wait elsewhere while adults settle this. Evelyn placed the draft on my bench. You keep saying nobody gets to decide Lily is outside. Then you decide which door I'm allowed to approach. I was trying to keep you from becoming ammunition. Your daughter is not a battlefield, Nathan. I am not ammunition. And protection that requires everyone else to surrender choice is control with better manners. She left the workshop without slamming the door. Evelyn never needed noise to make absence visible. That afternoon, I collected Lily from school. She climbed into the truck and inspected the empty passenger seat. Where's Evelyn? At work. Are you fighting? We disagree about a decision I made. Was I in it? Children ask direct questions, because adults have not yet taught them to decorate fear. Yes. Lily watched rain move across the windshield. Did you ask me? No. Then I disagree too. At home, she took the pale blue ribbon off her flower basket and tied it around the framed photograph of Anna on her dresser. Mom can have this for now, she said. The basket doesn't feel like a wedding thing. My phone displayed a new headline claiming Evelyn had abandoned the foundation's family initiative for a custody scandal. Below it sat an email from my largest client. The hotel restoration scheduled for Monday was postponed because the owner wanted to avoid publicity near the opening. The case was no longer contained to a private conference. My silence had not protected Lily from a public story. It had only ensured the first version belonged to everyone except us. I called my lawyer and withdrew the settlement draft. Then I opened the calendar Evelyn had proposed and entered every overnight contract, every school event, every Shaw visit, and every blank space I had treated as mine to fill. When I sent Evelyn access, she did not reply. 5 minutes later, her name appeared beside one empty Friday with a single comment. Ask Lily first. It was not forgiveness. It was the first door neither of us had closed. I did not ask Evelyn to praise the calendar. I confirmed Lily's Friday first, canceled an optional overnight estimate, and recorded the change. A system becomes trustworthy through the decisions it prevents people from making alone, not through promises made after damage. Evelyn slept at her apartment that night. She did not remove her engagement ring, and I did not mistake that for reassurance. A ring could mark intention. It could not perform the work intention required. The next morning, Lily asked to speak with both of us at the same time. Evelyn joined us at a quiet bakery before school, dressed for a board preparation meeting. Lily brought the photograph of Anna with the pale blue ribbon tied around its frame. I made a list, she announced. She unfolded notebook paper divided into want and do not want. She wanted regular dinners with her grandparents, the right to cancel when she had a birthday party, Evelyn on her school emergency list, and Dad to take fewer jobs that began before sunrise. She did not want anyone to call Evelyn her mother for advertising, anyone to say Anna would be sad when they meant themselves, or any more meetings where she was the subject but not present. You cannot attend the legal conference. I said carefully. "But your family counselor can bring your list and tell them exactly what you said." "Good, I don't want to meet more lawyers." Lily pushed the paper between us. "I want adults with calendars." Evelyn smiled for the first time since the staircase. "A demanding but reasonable platform." Lily pointed at us. "Also, you two have to stop leaving different things out." After school drop-off, Evelyn drove to Carlisle Foundation headquarters. I went to meet Martin and Claire at their home with travel records, school attendance, emergency contacts, and the amended calendar. Their living room contained more photographs of Anna than Lily had ever seen in one place. Claire noticed me looking. "We kept trying to preserve every version of her," she said. "Maybe that made us treat Lily like the last place Anna could disappear from." I understand the fear. Understanding it is not agreeing to let us run your life. Martin remained less ready to surrender. He reviewed my travel schedule and circled 2 contracts that overlapped school events. "You accepted these before arranging care." "Yes, I assumed somebody would cover them. That was unfair." The admission cost less than defending myself and changed more. I proposed 1 overnight contract monthly until the end of term, a shared emergency list, 1 fixed grandparent weekend, and 2 flexible dinners. Martin wanted 2 weekends. Claire asked what Lily had written. When I showed them the list, neither argued with her boundaries. We tested the schedule against ordinary problems instead of perfect weeks. Who collected Lily if my train returned late? Who attended a school meeting if Evelyn was opening a hotel and the Shaws were away? What happened if Lily wanted a friend's birthday on their weekend? Each answer included a person, a phone number, and who had to ask before changing it. Martin gradually stopped circling my failures and began filling empty boxes. I also showed them the email postponing my largest contract. Claire offered to cover the lost income from Anna's small memorial account. I refused without turning the refusal into pride. The account belonged to Lily's future. Instead, Martin connected me with his school district's facilities manager, who needed local restoration assessments across 6 older buildings. It was not a miracle contract. It was useful work I could price honestly and complete without sleeping 2 counties away. Across the city, Victoria placed a statement before Evelyn. I learned the details later, but Evelyn told them to me without polishing herself into a hero. Victoria's version described Lily's exclusion as a temporary safeguarding adjustment made amid an unresolved guardianship matter. It said Evelyn regretted leaving the ceremony before guests could be informed, and affirmed that the Foundation's Family Continuity Initiative remained above private conflict. "If you sign," Victoria told her, "the board votes in 5 days and this becomes a regrettable operational mistake. A child was put behind a rope at my wedding because Nathan concealed a legal threat from you. His failure does not convert yours into safeguarding." Victoria removed her glasses. "You believe walking down those steps proved you are ready to raise that girl. It proved only that you can make a dramatic choice when cameras are present. Parenting is choosing risk before anyone applauds." The sentence struck because part of it was true. Evelyn had loved Lily for 2 years, but she had allowed Victoria to keep their relationship out of Foundation biographies, holiday photographs, and donor events. She told herself privacy protected Lily. Sometimes it did. Other times, privacy protected Evelyn from challenging her mother until the cost became visible. "Then I will make the next choice without applause," Evelyn said. She refused the statement and asked that her chair candidacy be separated from the Family Initiative review. Before leaving Victoria's office, Evelyn called the hotel company's independent human resources director and disclosed the family dispute herself. She requested written confirmation that her operations role, staff evaluations, and opening budgets remained outside Foundation authority. The call did not make her safe from gossip. It made the boundary real before anyone could later claim her career survived only because Victoria allowed it. Victoria warned that the board could interpret the request as withdrawal. "They should," Evelyn replied. I will not chair a family initiative while my family is edited for convenience. At the Shaw's house, Martin received an email from his lawyer containing the venue access log. Marcus had preserved it under routine security policy. The 604 entry recorded Victoria's personal credential, approving Lily's removal. No surprise witness was required. The same system that admitted florists, caterers, and donors had documented who was told to remain outside. Martin suggested giving the log to a reporter. It would destroy Victoria's claim that staff had misunderstood counsel. I imagined the headline, the public vindication, and Lily seeing the black line through her name reproduced on every screen. No, we use it in the private conference. We correct the public statement without publishing her case. Victoria used privacy against you, Martin said. That does not make Lily's privacy mine to spend. Claire placed Lily's list beside the access log. This is the first proposal today that sounds like it belongs to her. That evening, Evelyn returned to my workshop. I showed her the log and told her I had rejected leaking it. She showed me the unsigned statement and told me she had stepped away from the chair vote. You wanted that position, I said. I wanted to change what the foundation did. I also wanted my mother to believe I was ready to inherit her authority. Those are not the same ambition. I withdrew the settlement clause. Because I objected. Because Lily did. Evelyn nodded. Better answer. I asked whether she wanted to come home. She said not yet. The honesty hurt, but it did not confuse me. Before leaving, she retied the loose pale blue ribbon around Anna's frame. There should be room for her at whatever comes next. I watched Evelyn walk out wearing the ring and carrying no promise from me. In the morning, she would face the board. I would face the Shaws across a conference table. For once, neither of us was entering the hardest room with a secret plan for the other. Before bed, I placed Lily's list, the shared calendar, and the access log in one folder. The evidence could establish blame. Her list established what repair was for. I made certain the next room received both. The private custody conference began at 9 on Friday morning in a plain room above the family court offices. There was no judge, no raised bench, and no dramatic verdict waiting to rescue us. A mediator named Helen Ward sat between two lawyers and explained that her role was to help us reach a child-centered agreement before anyone asked the court to impose one. Helen had met Lily's family counselor the previous afternoon. Before discussing schedules, she read Lily's list aloud in the same words Lily had written. Martin removed his glasses. Claire held his hand. I kept mine flat on the table and listened without translating my daughter into a legal position. Martin's lawyer began with my travel. Mine responded with attendance records showing Lily had not missed school or medical care. Both facts were true. My arrangements had worked, but I had often made them late and assumed somebody who loved Lily would absorb the disruption. I am reducing overnight contracts to one a month through the school term, I said. My employer has accepted a revised rotation because I agreed to train another conservator. The shared calendar lists care before I accept additional travel. Martin studied the plan. That will reduce your income. Yes, Evelyn and I have not combined households or finances yet. I can cover the difference by taking more local assessment work. It is less profitable and more stable. The difficult issue was Evelyn's role. The Shaws wanted advance notice before Lily appeared in any public Carlisle event. I agreed because Lily wanted that boundary. They also wanted consultation before Evelyn received emergency authority. Consultation, yes, I said. A veto based on her surname, no. Martin's lawyer referred to the wedding footage. I placed the access log on the table. This shows Victoria Carlisle ordered Lily's exclusion. It also shows Evelyn reversed it when she learned. We will use the facts here. We will not release the log, the altered card, or Lily's counselor notes publicly. Claire looked at Martin. We cannot claim Evelyn's family is dangerous and then ask Nathan to expose Lily to defeat them. Martin's resistance did not vanish. It changed shape. What happens if Evelyn and Nathan separate? It was a cruel question only if one pretended adults never failed. I answered it honestly. Evelyn's school and emergency permissions would be reviewed according to Lily's relationship with her, not automatically preserved by money or erased by a breakup. We can write that review process now. At 10, while we negotiated one fixed weekend and two flexible dinners, Evelyn entered the Carlyle Foundation boardroom across the city. She later described the room, the faces, and the exact moment she stopped hoping Victoria would make refusal unnecessary. The board had already received the approved false statement. Victoria opened by characterizing the wedding as a private dispute distorted by social media. Evelyn asked that the statement be withdrawn before discussion continued. "It protects the child's privacy," Victoria said. "Privacy is not an invented explanation." Evelyn distributed her shorter version. It stated that a child invited into the ceremony had been improperly excluded by an event decision, that Evelyn left when she learned, and that the foundation would not discuss the child's private circumstances. It accepted responsibility without naming Lily, Nathan, the Shaws, or the petition. One trustee asked whether Evelyn believed Victoria should resign as chair. "I believe event authority and the Family Initiative Review must move to independent oversight. I am too personally involved to lead that review. My mother is responsible for the decision being reviewed." Another trustee asked whether Evelyn still sought the vacant chair position. This was the moment Victoria expected blood loyalty to restore order. Evelyn looked at the approved statement bearing a signature line she had left blank. "No," she said, "not during this review. I will continue my hotel operations role under its existing reporting structure. I will not trade a false account of a child's exclusion for authority over an initiative that uses the word family." At the conference, Helen asked why I had hidden the petition until after the planned wedding. "Because I wanted one peaceful day," I said, "and because part of me still believes asking for help means giving someone power to take Lily. That fear made me withhold information from the woman I intended to marry and negotiate her future role without her. I am correcting the plan, but I am not asking anyone to call the original decision reasonable." Martin leaned back. For years, we had argued as if one of us must become the reckless person and the other the responsible one. My admission denied him that clean division. "We were afraid the Carlyles would absorb her," he said. "Then we wrote a petition that tried to reserve her weekends before asking what she wanted." Claire placed Lily's school calendar over their proposed expanded order. "Withdraw it." Martin was quiet long enough that my lawyer reached for her pen. Then he nodded. They would withdraw the request for travel restrictions and expanded authority if our agreed contact schedule, emergency list, privacy boundaries, and review date were recorded through the mediator. At the foundation, the trustees accepted Evelyn's statement by a majority vote. They suspended Victoria's unilateral event authority and commissioned an external review of the family initiative. Victoria remained chair for ordinary foundation business during that process, but could not supervise the review or represent the wedding incident publicly. When my conference ended, I found her sitting on a stone bench outside the court offices. She had not come inside because Lily's case was not her stage. She stood when she saw me but did not search my face for a triumphant answer. "What did Lily get?" she asked. "One weekend, 2 dinners, the right to cancel for her own plans, shared emergency contact, no publicity without her counselor's approval and her assent when she is old enough to understand it." The Shaws withdrew the expanded petition. Evelyn released a breath, and me, eligible for school and emergency authority after the counselor reviews it with Lily. No Shaw veto. No automatic right because we marry. That sounds fair. It also sounds like something I should have built with you before asking you to stand at an altar. She told me about the board, the withdrawn candidacy, and Victoria's restricted authority. I wanted to say she should not have lost the position. That would have made her sacrifice the center of the story again. "Do you still want the hotel work?" I asked. "Very much. It is mine because I am good at it, not because my mother approves." "Then keep it." I intended to. A trace of her old dry smile returned. "Your permission remains unnecessary, but your enthusiasm is welcome." I laughed once, surprised by the sound. Evelyn stepped closer, but neither of us reached for the other yet. "The wedding account needs a decision by 3, she said. "We release Carlisle House. Pay every obligation. Keep the remaining balance untouched until we decide together whether there is another ceremony. And tonight, we explain the agreement to Lily and ask what we missed." Evelyn took my hand then, not because the conflict was over, and not because public sacrifice had purchased trust. She took it because the next decision had room for all 3 of us. At home, Lily listened to the schedule, asked whether Friday dinners could include pancakes, and moved Evelyn's name beneath mine on the school emergency form. Then she retrieved the flower basket from the closet. "Can this be fixed?" she asked, showing me where the pale blue ribbon had pulled loose from the handle. I looked at Evelyn before answering. She nodded toward Lily. "Yes," I said, "but only if you still want it." Lily considered the basket. "Not for the old wedding." "No," Evelyn agreed. "That one is finished." Lily placed it on my work table. "Then fix it for whatever we choose next." Repairing Lily's flower basket took 20 minutes. Repairing what it represented took 4 months. The first practical act was releasing Carlisle House. Evelyn and I signed together before the deadline. The remaining wedding funds paid the staff guarantees, rentals, and vendor balances. The unused portion stayed in the joint account until we created a new budget. Neither family replaced what we lost. The foundation issued Evelyn's truthful statement. It did not name Lily or publish the altered card. The correction ended the runaway bride story slowly rather than spectacularly. Attention moved elsewhere because public outrage often has endurance endurance than private repair. Victoria completed the governance review with her event authority suspended. Investigators found no financial misconduct, but they documented a pattern of decisions made through family offices without consent from the people used in foundation publicity. The board separated the Family Continuity Initiative from Carlisle Family Supervision and appointed an independent director. Victoria remained foundation chair under narrower authority. Consequence did not require making her powerless. It required making her unable to repeat the same harm without oversight. Evelyn kept her hotel operations position and opened 2 properties on schedule. She stopped treating every conversation with Victoria as a referendum on whether she was a worthy daughter. Their contact became professional, brief, and honest. Victoria was not invited into Lily's life for 6 weeks. When she eventually asked to apologize, Lily's counselor helped set the meeting. Victoria came to our townhouse alone, without gifts or publicists. She sat at the kitchen table where the flower basket had rested after the failed wedding. "I told myself I was protecting your father's case," she said to Lily. "I was also protecting an event I controlled and a picture of my daughter's future that did not make room for you. I crossed out your name because I believed adults could repair your feelings later. I was wrong." Lily studied her. "Are you sorry because Evelyn got mad?" Victoria did not look at Evelyn for rescue. "At first, partly. Now I am sorry because I understand what I did to you." "You can come to one dinner," Lily said. "Not a holiday yet." "Thank you." Limited access was not a punishment disguised as a lesson. It was the amount of trust Victoria had actually earned. The agreement with Martin and Claire settled into ordinary life. One weekend a month became reliable enough that Lily stopped checking whether I intended to cancel it. Wednesday dinner shifted when she had art club. Claire gained school notice access. Martin learned to use the shared calendar and complained that Evelyn color-coded it too efficiently. "Blue is school," Evelyn told him. "Green is family. Red means Nathan accepted work before checking either." There had been no red entries for 9 weeks. I trained Mara, the conservator who had worked beside me for 3 years, to lead distant site assessments. She had already done half the difficult work while I took the credit for being the person clients requested. Sharing that authority cost me some travel income and exposed another habit. I had made myself indispensable because indispensability felt safer than dependence. Local assessments and workshop commissions replaced most of the loss. Evelyn did not fund the gap. She did help me build a booking system that stopped clients from treating every damaged banister as an emergency. Our own relationship moved more slowly. Evelyn returned to the townhouse after 3 weeks, but not as if the interrupted wedding had been a temporary argument. We wrote emergency decisions, travel expectations, financial thresholds, and the rule Lily liked best. No adult could use for your own good without explaining the good and naming the cost. We also chose a new home. My townhouse held our history but not Evelyn's work or Lily's need for a door that belonged to all of us. Carlisle property was never considered. We leased a modest brick house between Lily's school and my workshop, paid from our combined but separately tracked incomes, with a small office for Evelyn and a backyard Lily declared structurally suitable for a dog. The dog remained under negotiation. 3 months after the failed wedding, I found Evelyn and Lily at the kitchen counter writing invitations. Not engraved cards. Folded cream paper, 3 names at the top, and a map to the workshop courtyard. "Is this a coup?" I asked. "A planning meeting," Evelyn said. Lily held up a draft. "You can object, but you need a reason." The ceremony they proposed had 24 guests. Martin and Claire would sit in the front row beside my sister. Victoria could attend as Evelyn's mother, not as host. Marcus had been invited because Lily said one person from the old wedding should be allowed to see the corrected version. "Who walks first?" I asked. Lily frowned at the question. "Nobody, we walk together." Evelyn looked at me. "Subject to your reasoned objection." "I have none." On the morning we chose, the workshop courtyard smelled of cut cedar and late summer rain. White roses grew in pots Lily and Claire had planted rather than in an arch rented for photographs. Evelyn wore a simple ivory dress with long sleeves. I wore the same tuxedo after Mara repaired the torn lining, and Lily ordered me to tie the bow correctly. The repaired flower basket rested by the courtyard gate. Its pale blue ribbon had been cleaned but not replaced. A faint crease remained where the handle had pulled it loose. Inside the basket lay the crossed-out ceremony card. Lily had asked to keep it, not as proof that she had once been unwanted, but as proof that a printed plan could be refused. Beside it was a new card in Evelyn's handwriting. Nathan, Evelyn, and Lily. Walk together. The music began. No doors separated us from the guests. Lily stood between Evelyn and me, holding one hand from each of us. Martin cried before Claire did. Victoria remained seated and did not turn the moment into her redemption. We walked the short aisle together. Our vows did not claim that love made us one person. We promised to remain 3 people whose choices affected one another, and therefore required truth before protection became a plan. I promised Evelyn that fear would not make me decide her place. Evelyn promised Lily that privacy would never again mean hiding her to make power comfortable. Lily's contribution was shorter. "You both have to check the calendar." The officiant accepted the amendment. When Evelyn and I exchanged the rings that had waited 4 months in their box, there was no roar from a ballroom and no line of cameras at a gate. Lily stood close enough to inspect whether I dropped mine. I did not. After dinner, Martin told the Sultan the sugar bowl story. Evelyn asked questions about Anna instead of performing comfort around her memory. Victoria left when the agreed hour ended. Marcus danced once with Claire and claimed it fell outside his professional responsibilities. Near sunset, Lily carried the empty flower basket into our new house. She paused in the entryway while Evelyn removed her shoes and I balanced leftover cake in both hands. "Where should we keep it?" Evelyn asked. Lily placed the basket on the low table beside our keys. The pale blue ribbon faced the door. "Here," she said. "Nobody gets left outside again." Evelyn looked at me, but neither of us turned Lily's sentence into a speech. We simply entered the home together, closed the door against the evening rain, and left the basket where every person who belonged could see it.